who's known Mary for 30 years. So this is Jill, and I will go ahead and I will let her take it from here and share her experience, strength, and hope.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name's Jill, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Jill.
First of all, I'm going to start this AA meeting like you've never had an AA meeting start off before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sing you a song. And when I sing this song, every time I sing a word that starts with the letter B, if you're sitting down, I'd like you to stand up. And if I sing another letter B, you're going to sit down if you're standing up. So we're going to get the blood flowing, so there's brain flowing, blood flow into the brain, so you can receive the message of awesome sobriety today. So I hope you guys are ready to sit down and stand up. If you have any kind of physical issue, just raise your hands and put your hands down. Raise your hand, put your hands down. Here we go. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back my Bonnie to me. All right, good job, ladies and gentlemen. Good job. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So anyway, like I said earlier, my name is Jill and I'm an alcoholic. You know, I had my first drink when I was 15 years old. In fact, up until that point, I was goody two shoes, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do anything. And my parents were going away for the weekend. So I decided to invite some friends over. And I didn't understand how this liquid could affect my brain. So we started off with big glasses of 7 and 7, and then we were playing quarters with Seagum 7 straight. Basically, I came to the next morning. I said, who threw up in my bed? How do I get these clothes on? And I asked if a friend stopped by. Well, you threw up in your bed. You were so full of throw up, we had to put you in the shower and change your clothes. And that friend did stop by. For 3 days, I swore I would never drink again. I had the worst bed spins. It was like, and then about 6 months later, I was introduced to beer. And when I drank beer, I knew a new freedom and a new happiness. I did not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. I tell you that beer did something to me. It helped me feel like I belonged. See, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and September 29th, 1966. And the very first thing my father said to my mother when I was born was, you got your girl, she's a crippled. I was born with a club foot, and you know, it made my mom cry. I think from the very first time I took my first breath, I felt like there was something wrong with me. Growing up with 4 brothers, we moved out from Cleveland to an 87-acre farm, and it was always, go home, you're a girl, we don't want you. And I always felt like I didn't even belong in my own family. When I was 7 years old, I was sexually abused by a friend of my older brother. And I knew at the age of 7 that I was gonna go to hell. In fact, I knew that it was wrong. I told my mom about it. I said, Mom, this is what's going on. She broke down crying. I sucked up my tears and I comforted her. And I said, Mom, I'm okay. I'm okay. It wasn't until years and years later in sobriety that I asked my mom, I said, how come you didn't comfort me? Because it was then that I became the parent. I said, how come you didn't comfort me and hold me and let me cry? And she said, I couldn't believe the same thing that happened to me was happening to my daughter. So anyway, in 4th grade, I was the second most popular. My best friend was the most popular. She was skinny, mini. I was fatty, 4 eyes. And we got in this ridiculous fight over a softball game. And for 3 months in 4th grade, I didn't have any friends. It was fatty, 2x4, can't get through the bathroom door, all these dirty notes. I didn't have a single friend except my 4th grade teacher. And to this day, because of Facebook, I am still friends with my 4th grade teacher. And that's a good thing that came out of that. And actually it planted the seed for me becoming a teacher later on in my life. And it's interesting because sometimes we behave in a way of not necessarily what people actually think of us. what we think people think of us. I had a relative that told me when I was young, like around 7 years old, you know, your father never wanted a girl. Even though that wasn't true, I embraced it to be my truth. And this same person also told me, oh, you're going to be fat just like the rest of us Shanks. And even though it was like coming from a place of fear, but I embraced those things to be true. And so I was determined to get my dad's approval. I was determined to make him proud of me. In 1978, there was a blizzard. I don't know if you guys were affected by it or not, but the blizzard of 78 took my family from Pemberville, Ohio, down to Tarpon Springs, Florida. So I went from an 87-acre farm with horses, cows, pigs, dogs, sheep, everything, to a house on a canal with alligators in my backyard. And I was very much a tomboy. In fact, I'm still a tomboy to this day, but I look more like a female than I did back then. And the very first thing I would tell people is, hi, my name is Jill. I'm a girl, I'm not a boy. Because they would look at me and go, did that person say Jill or Joe? Anyway, I decided to just get it all in the introduction. My dad was coaching football at Tarpon Springs Pee-wees. I went to practice. I said, Dad, I could play with them. So he was my football coach. I was the first girl in the state of Florida to play Pop Warner football with the helmets and the shoulder pads. And I got the nickname JJ for Jill the Jock. And so basically up until that point, probably food was my first drug of choice, and then sports. I really got into sports. But because I had this person tell me I was going to be fat, I made a decision back then I would die before I became fat, because I then got into an eating disorder, and the eating disorder kind of combined along with the drinking. So once I was 15 and had that first drink, and then 6 months later when I was introduced to beer, from the age of 15 to 24, I was on a suicide path. I would drink, get drunk, eat, throw up, and do the same thing all over again. And I got 14 varsity letters in high school. I went to college on 5 different athletic scholarships. I drank them all away. I decided the way for me to get better was to move away from my family and go to a small Christian college in North Carolina. So I went to a small college, Montreat Anderson College back then, outside of Asheville. And I went there on a volleyball, basketball, and softball scholarship. Within a couple months, I drank them all away. And I used to like to drink, get drunk, go for an ambulance ride, end up in a detox center, go to a treatment center, and do it all over again. There was this deep-seated self-hatred. I don't even know where it came from, but I hated myself so much. Even though on the outside, I got good grades. Well, actually, you could tell that if I was sober or drinking, according to my transcripts. When I was sober, all A's and B's. When I was drinking, all C's and T's, barely getting by. And I was introduced to my very first AA meeting in 1983 in Indian Rocks, Florida, and Indian Rocks Beach. I walked in the meeting, I looked around the room, and I went, I am too young to be an alcoholic. But the seed of Alcoholics Anonymous was planted. And just like a seed, it needs to go in the ground. It needs to go to a dark, cold place and be broken. And then the rain, water, or lots of tears. And I had to leave it down there and let it grow. See, I was introduced in 83, but my sobriety date is February 5th, 1994. It took me over a whole entire year to stay sober on a Friday night. In fact, I was living in Orlando, and I really needed an AA meeting at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30, not 8 o'clock. I like to drink late. Now it's funny because by 9 o'clock, I'm in bed today. But anyway, back then at 10:30, I wanted to drink. So I actually started an AA meeting at 10:30 p.m. so I can get through it, because it took me a whole entire year to stay sober on a Friday night. In fact, I started this meeting, and I remember sitting in the meeting going, wow, if I could stay sober a Friday night, and I could stay sober a Saturday night, and I've got the Sunday through Thursday pretty good, because for years, I'm telling you, Monday through Thursday, actually Friday, I go to an AA meeting, and Friday night after the meeting, I go and get drunk and do the whole thing over again. Needless to say, I drank away the 3 athletic scholarships at Montreat College, and then I drank away 2 athletic scholarships at University of Tampa. for volleyball and basketball. In fact, one time I was in New Orleans and we were at a tournament, and I knew I really should not drink, but I was in New Orleans. You're supposed to drink. You got to try these things called hurricanes. Needless to say, I drank a lot. And then we're on the 8th floor of a hotel building. I'm looking down. See, when I used to like to drink, I used to like to think. And I wanted to go for a walk and think, oh, woe is me. My father never wanted me. So I believed all these negative thoughts. And they wouldn't let me out of my dorm room. I mean, out of the hotel room because I was drunk. So I looked down. I went, oh my gosh, there's a balcony right there. Oh my gosh, there's a balcony. I climbed over, hung down, swing, drop, boom. Swing, drop, boom, all the way down to the ground so I could walk. But needless to say, I was tackled by one of my teammates. And because of my behavior under the influence of alcohol during the trip, they said I wasn't a very good example for the volleyball and basketball team at University of Tampa, so they took away my scholarship. But anyway, like I said, my sobriety date is February 5th, 1994. However, in 1991, my father told me, why don't you go try out for this game show? I was living in Tarpon Springs, Florida then. I was substitute teaching and being a waitress at Red Lobster. So I'm like, okay, what's this game show, whatever. I tried out in January. Nothing happened. Over 3,000 people tried out. I was one of 12 to be picked, but I wasn't called until May. And they said, I was substitute teaching at Red Lobster. I get a phone call at lunch shift. I'm like, nobody calls me. Pick up the phone. Is this Jill Shank? Yes, it is. He goes, pack your bags. This is Larry Zonka. We're flying you to California. And I'm like, I'm going to California. I'm going to California. Because see, being born and raised in Ohio and moving down to Florida, I thought California was going to have an earthquake and fall into the ocean. But I remember watching California Chips as a kid growing up thinking, I want to go there someday. And to think that they flew me out there, and on the way, as I was getting on the plane, I made a decision. Because I had relapsed so much, I'm either coming out to California to get clean and sober the last time, or I'm going to come back in a body bag. Needless to say, I'm here. So I decided to get clean and sober, but that wasn't 91 is not my sobriety date, because what would happen, I go to meetings, I get sober, life would get good. I stopped going to meetings. Meeting makers make it. The big book, the answers are in the big book. What's big book? Big book. Believing in God beats our old knowledge. Big book. And so the Cliff Notes of Alcoholics Anonymous. Don't drink, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, call 3 alcoholics every day. Pick up the phone, not text, call. I realized a sponsee of mine kept on checking in while they were texting, and they were drunk. I didn't even know it because I didn't hear her voice. So it's very important to pick up the phone and call somebody. So anyway, my father didn't want me. He goes, you know what? You don't want to be a teacher when you grow up. Well, I wanted to be a teacher because the teachers were there for me when I was younger. Came out to California on American Gladiators, and I got my master's degree at Loyola Marymount. I actually got my bachelor's degree at University of Central Florida. Got my master's at Loyola Marymount in education. And I was teaching at Our Lady of Malibu with a lot of movie stars kids. So I was totally starstruck. But I'm just sitting here going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I went to meetings there, got sober, and then stopped going to meetings. And in 1997, see, I drank away those athletic scholarships, got kicked out of those 2 colleges. In fact, in 1985, I was so depressed because I was going, 100 million miles an hour. I was going to classes from 8 to 3, volleyball practice from 3 to 5, working from 6 to midnight, studying from 12 to 3, and then doing it all over again. And I just got a failed trigonometry test, and I went, I'm going to go drink, because I hadn't been drinking for about 30 days. And I went out and picked up a drink, which led to another drink, which led to another drink. And then I was 19 years old. I ended up going 80 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. I hit the back end of semi, flipped over 3 lanes of traffic. I flew out of the car hit a tree, caught on fire. And I was 3 yards from the road and 3 yards from the car on fire. And I got up and walked away with just a couple cuts on the back of my head and my leg. And they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to sleep off my buzz before volleyball practice. You know, it was like I was determined to get to volleyball practice. And thank God my parents came to see me before they went and saw my car. In fact, if I would have had my seatbelt on, I would not be here today. So God had a plan for me. Just like God has a plan for you. If you are hearing me talk today, God has a great plan for you. If you have been introduced to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, God has great dreams for you to manifest and come true in your life. So anyway, in 1997, I had the opportunity to play women's professional baseball for the San Jose Spitfire. And in 2000, I was able to play women's professional football for the San Diego Sunfire. So a lot of my dreams were able to come true after the fact that I got sober, even though I didn't, you know, actually go to the Olympics was one of my dreams. But to be honest with you, I hated myself so much that even if I got my cat almost pulled that whole thing down. Even if I would have got an Olympic gold, I would have felt like I didn't deserve it because I hated myself so much. And I realized for me, a lot of the time I did these things called geographics. I thought, I'm going to go to North Carolina. I'm going to go to Alaska. I wanted to get away from me and see, because when I came to these rooms, I hated myself so much. But you guys loved me. And you said, keep coming back no matter what. Let us love you until you learn to love yourself. And so what I like to explain it is, back in the day before cell phones existed, if you went on a blind date, or if I went on a blind date, we were stuck on that blind date. So if the person was not attractive and had bad breath and you just knew there was no chemistry, you were stuck. And 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. Well, vice versa. When you're with somebody you enjoy, 2 hours feels like 2 minutes. So imagine living with somebody that I hated so much. It was like being on a really bad blind date. But in these rooms, you guys taught me to love myself. You said, keep coming back no matter what. And I relapsed probably about 3,000 times, but it doesn't matter. I've gotten sober 3,001 times. And that's all that matters. No matter how many times you fall down, get back up again. Keep on putting one foot in front of the other. And I promise you, man, dreams come true. I'm telling you, since I've been sober, I've been to 28 countries. I've been to all 7 continents. In fact, one time when I took my first biggest trip to Australia, I'm in Australia, and see, for the longest time, I would say, okay, I'm going to stay sober today. I'm going to get drunk tomorrow. Because that was a way for me putting an ease to my disease. My disease wanted a drink. Okay. So I thought, I'm going to stay sober today. I'll get drunk tomorrow. And so what happened is I go to Australia. I'm about 7 years sober. I'm with this singles tour group, and they're making drinking look really fun again. So I'm making a decision to drink if I can't find a meeting, knowing there's no meeting on Fraser Island in Australia. So what I did, I started making a list of all the different alcohol that they invented since the last time I drank. Because if I'm going to relapse, I'm going to try all these things before I come back in the rooms. But I really didn't want to drink, but I did want to drink. So I said, God, please help me. Please help me. I need a meeting. Please help me, please. And so I'm walking on this path, and there's this guy walking up towards me, and he has this necklace on his neck. And I said, are you a friend of Bill's? He goes, yes, I am. I go, I need a meeting. He goes, meet my wife and I tonight at the meeting, at the restaurant. We'll have a meeting. See, that's how God works. If 50% of me wants to drink and 50% of me wants to stay sober, and I throw up that prayer, God, please help me, God is going to send an angel. That angel may have skin on, angel may have feathers, fur, or even scales on, but God will send somebody. But I have to say, God, please help me, send somebody. And it's interesting because I remember every time I relapsed, I was in halt, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, halt, every single time. In fact, I have a sponsee that keeps on relapsing. 95% of the time, she's hungry. I'm like, eat something, then call me back. I take care of the little things. Take care of the basics. And I like to teach it with my students. I go, the morning and nightly news. Okay. They're like, what do you mean the morning? I said AM news, PM, AM. For my students, I say ambitious mindset. For people in the rooms, I say Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. News, nutrition. I need to make sure I'm eating every 3 hours. I find that most people are hypoglycemic who are also alcoholics. E, exercise. I need to make sure I'm moving my body. The best thing we could do is walk. Go for a walk with a friend. Do a walking meeting. I used to meet at coffee shops, and then I would have my sponsees not show up and not call. So now they either come to my house or we meet and we go for a walk and we do walking step work. The W, water. I need to make sure I'm drinking half my body weight in ounces a day. The S, sleep. 8 hours minimum. When you're stressed, 9. You know, teenagers, I say they should be getting 10 hours, but they stay up all to weird hours. Try to go to bed at the same time and wake up every night. Have a disciplined bedtime. That's what I've learned in these rooms. I need to have a disciplined bedtime, go to bed around 9, wake up around 5. That seems to be working for me. When people ask me to do something 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, I'm sorry, that's past my bedtime. So it's interesting because, you know, we're given life one day at a time. I wish somebody would have told me the concept of really one day at a time, because when I was younger, I'm like, all I could hear was never drink again for the rest of my life. Are you kidding me? And I had sponsors and people in the program go, no, just don't drink today. Really? Just today? Yeah, I mean, I could drink tomorrow. Yeah, okay. And see, when I was in Australia, my disease said today is tomorrow where you're from, right? That's why I said, okay. And then thank God, God sent me a meeting so I didn't have to drink. But see, if we have one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, we're peeing all over today. We're ruining today. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So the day is broken down in 24 hours, right? Okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. 8 hours of work, 8 hours of taking care of stuff around the house, prayer, meditation, you know, just doing laundry and dishes and all this, just this life. And then the last 8 hours is to sleep to get over the previous 16 hours so we could do it all over again. Okay, in AA, it's not just Alcoholics Anonymous, it's attitude adjustment. What is attitude? Attitude is my thought life turned outward. Okay, so am I responsible for my thoughts? Yes, but not the first one. The first one is always the disease and is always negative and destructive, always. I am responsible for the second thought. That means if somebody pulled out in front of me, my old way of thinking was, oh, I'm going to give them the one finger salute. No, maybe they just got a phone call that their wife's in labor and they just need to get to the hospital. I got to change the way I look at things. When I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change. Let me say that again. When I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change. I need to look for the positive in every situation. Being sober is a mindset. It's a mindset. The longest journey we will take is from our head to our heart. Knowing I'm an alcoholic and knowing I'm an alcoholic in my heart. There was a lot of steps I needed to take this short journey. In fact, I first went through denial. And then I went through anger. I was pissed off. Why am I an alcoholic? How come I have to be? Then I went through bargaining. Please, God, just, if you just let me drink once in a while, you know, please, bargaining. And then I had to go through the grieving process. And I'm telling you, I have probably cried 3 swimming pools full of tears of the acceptance of finally coming around to acceptance of being an alcoholic. When I first got to AA, I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me, being an alcoholic. Today, let me tell you something. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I am so grateful that I am a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. See, I used to just be a member. I would drink in the parking lot and come in the rooms and sit in there and be drunk and just go, man, am I ever going to get this? Am I ever going to get this? You know, And back to the news and morning and nightly news, the PM, prayer and meditation. I need to pray to a God of my own understanding. That means if you have an issue with God, look to it as, I'm sure you've heard this in the rooms, good orderly direction, gift of desperation, gratitude or death, good old dad, great outdoors. And if none of that works, use God in reverse. I mean, dog in reverse, because the dog is an unconditionally loving animal that teaches us what it is to love ourselves unconditionally. The biggest thing that I've gotten in AA is I have learned to become best friends with myself. And let me tell you, it's like learning how to love myself. Somebody told me, get a picture of yourself when you're 3. Love that little girl. Love that little girl, love that little boy. Be there for them. Ask your inner child what they need for you to take care of them. See, I'm 54 years old by the grace of God. February 5th, 1994 is my sobriety date. But I have in me a toddler, a young elementary kid, a rebellious teenager, a young adult. And sometimes, the rebellious teenager wants to come out and go, I don't feel like doing it. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm a high school PE teacher. I get that a lot. I don't feel like suiting up. I don't feel like working out. Okay. Life is 85% of life is the same thing day in and day out. That means I get up, I pray and meditate, do some journaling, go for a walk, go to work, come home, do laundry, do the dishes. Okay. 15% of life is the anniversaries, the weddings, the parties, the exciting things, the vacations. But if I can learn to be just as excited about this 85% as I do about the 15%, that's the key. Make up your mindset. Don't dread doing anything. Oh, I dread going to meetings. Oh, I dread doing the laundry. Oh, no, I get to go to meetings because we have meetings. I get to do the laundry because I have clothes to wash. I get to work the steps because it's going to teach me a new way of life. Yes, AA is about not drinking. However, when I work the steps, it becomes a life-changing program. I am no longer the woman who walked in here, who hated herself, hated life, hated everything, and contemplated suicide every single day. I am the woman who, through working the steps, have come to a great relationship with my higher power. And I love and accept myself today. Not always what I do. There's a difference between your who and your do. Who you are and what you do are two completely different things. You could still love yourself, but not always like what you do. And it's interesting because God will give us grace for our place. Wherever we are, God will give us grace for our place. And it's really just doing the next indicated thing and making my mind up ahead of time. For instance, I used to put myself in slippery situations where there was a lot of drinking. And that's why I relapsed so much. If you have somewhere that you need to go and there's going to be a lot of drinking, make sure you drive your own car and bring a friend with you from the program. And I found out that 90 minutes is the max in those situations. Get up, show, and then go. Just do the next indicated thing. Bring the body and the mind will follow. Okay, God brought us here for a purpose. And if you are in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, man, we are given the gift. We are given a design for living that God will show us what to do one day at a time. Now, I realized when I was growing up, I never felt like I belonged in my family. I never felt like I belonged in all the sports teams because I always went to different colleges and every year was a different school. I never felt like I belonged on a football team or anywhere. But there is one place I do belong, and that is any meeting I walk into, I belong. In fact, I went to a meeting up in Northern Canada, had no idea that they spoke French up there. I walked up into the meeting and walked in the room, sat down and went, oh, okay. All right. I could tell they were reading how it works, and I could tell they were saying the Serenity Prayer just by the cadence of it. And when they laughed, I'd laugh. I had no idea what they were saying, but they'd laugh, I'd laugh. See, I've learned to enjoy the journey. Okay. Most people say, I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when I graduate high school. I'll be happy when I get out of college. I'll be happy when I get a job. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I have kids. I'll be happy. It's always in the future. Happiness is a mindset. If you're sober like I'm sober, we could be happy, joyous, and free today, no matter what's going on around us. And I have learned, and this has just been this last year that I've learned this, that when lots of things are coming at me, phone call, people wanting this and this and this, whatever, I can get upset, or I could just go, here you go, God. I don't get what's going on. I don't get all this stuff coming to me, but it's coming from all sides. So you know what? I'm going to have a good attitude through this. And I'm just going to put my hands up and go, I must have a blessing coming my way because all this stuff's coming my way. If I have a good attitude as I'm going through it, life is full of problems and obstacles. It doesn't matter, because once we solve one, another one is going to come up. The key is to have a good attitude while we're waiting for the solution. And you're looking at somebody that used to be the pity pot queen in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I would feel sorry for myself because I wasn't married, don't have kids. You know, when I came here, I wanted to get married, have kids. Now that I like who I am today and I enjoy my own company, I'm grateful that I have the life that I have today. And everybody has a purpose. And the thing is to find out what works for you. You know, the only step we have to do 100% is the first step. That's it. That means if I have swallowed the truth of me being an alcoholic, that means alcohol is no longer a solution. What do? Pick up the phone, go to a meeting, work out, do something, eat something. Okay. Then step 2, what do you mean I'm insane? You know, can restore us to sanity. What that means I'm insane? Well, sanity is wholeness of mind. Okay. So that means if I have a piece of pie and I give you a piece of the pie, one piece is missing. So that pie is considered insane just because one piece is missing. Okay. So we come to meetings because we're really not all there. So we come to get a little bit of sanity in the meetings because we're not all here. But that's okay, because I'm hoping you guys are following along with me where I'm going. And now the third step, turn my will is my thinking. My life is my actions. Okay. I used to think that I had to think positive to act positive. That's not the way it works, because then we would never act. We have to fake it till we make it. We have to act as if, put one foot in front of the other. You're having a hard time going for a walk. The hardest part is putting your tennis shoes on and getting out the door. Just do it. It's not about feeling like doing it. Don't let your feelings run your life like I did for so long. You say, thank you for sharing. Now I'm going to move on. The disease of alcoholism wants each one of us 6 feet under. But if it can't put us 6 feet under, it will be happy with us being in and out of the rooms of AA, being in jails or institutions, but it prefers to put us 6 feet under. I did not get clean and sober to be miserable. I got clean and sober to be happy, joyous, and free. I got clean and sober, and God says that he will give me a life and give it over an abundance and overflowing to where I can help others. I find that some people that have a hard time getting sober keep on going to rooms, keep on getting different sponsors. And then I'll go, how many people have you sponsored? Oh, none. Okay, I need to give this away to keep it. I need to help others. When I have a problem that I don't know the solution to, I put my problem on the back burner and I go help somebody else solve their problem. And the way God works is by the time I go back there to deal with my problem, he took care of it. That's the way it works. Getting out of myself, helping somebody else. But that means I need to take care of my physical body. Yes, we are spiritual. We are spirits having a physical experience. So that means this is not a religion. It's a spiritual program. Religion is God man-made. Spirituality is God-given. Religion causes the world to have wars. Spirituality causes the world to hold hands. See, and It's a relationship with my higher power, with my God. I have been reintroduced to my childhood God in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And my God rocks. If you're having a hard time with your God, borrow mine for a while because he's pretty awesome. And I'm telling you, this is the last house on the block, but it's the best house on the block. And it's interesting because, you know, I played women's professional baseball, and the coach really just shattered my spirit as an athlete. And I remember my roommate had gotten injured, and we're up in San Jose, and I'm never taught up there, and I'm going to get my roommate smoothies because she couldn't eat because she broke her bone right here. And I'm going to the smoothie place, and I'm really contemplating suicide, and I'm sober, but I'm going, okay, in order for you to do that, you have to drink first, and then you're going to start over on day one again, and just this whole negative thinking. So I go get the smoothie, I'm walking out, and I hear, Coach Shank. I went, what? I've never taught here before. And it was a student who I taught in Malibu from kindergarten to second grade. Her mom came up to me and said, I want to thank you for the impact you had on my daughter's life. You see, whenever anybody told her she could not do something, she would stand up really tall and say, yes, I can. Coach Shank said I could do anything I put my mind to. So we can do anything we put our mind to. Sobriety is a mindset. And here's what I've realized is that I used to give up everything for alcohol because I wanted my next drink. Now I realize I can give up alcohol and have everything. So do you want to give up one thing for everything, or do you want to lose everything for one thing? That's the simplicity of the program. Don't drink, go to meetings, get a sponsor, work the steps, call 3 alcoholics every day. You know, I'm weird. I like acronyms and stuff like that. And I created an acronym for change. There's one thing about the program, you have to change everything. Change. Constantly having adjustments, needing God every day. And if you don't believe in God, needing gratitude every day. That's the way it works. I need to be grateful that I can walk. I need to be grateful that I can see, that I could smile, that I could hear, that I could feel. I'll be grateful to have live meetings again so I can get hugs again. I really miss hugs. I love hugs and the fellowship. We really need each other. The most important word in the program is the first word of the first step. We. It doesn't say me, it doesn't say I. It says we, you know, and it's we can do what I cannot do by myself. So we together. And I'm so grateful. This is Memorial Day weekend, and I'm so grateful for all the people that put down their lives for our freedom in our country, and that we have Bill and Bob to thank and remember for creating this phenomenal fellowship. Thank God they got together and created this so we could live a sober and sane and safe life today. And it's interesting because one of the most painful weekends was a Memorial Day for me. And I don't know about you, but I had a hard time letting people in. But when I was 37, I had bottle fed two kittens from birth. And those little animals taught me about unconditional love. And they're only with me about 7 years. And I had to put one of them down on a Memorial Day weekend. And it was one of the most difficult things I ever had to do. Experiencing that loss, that pain. I actually took off 2 days from bereavement because I was in so much pain, and realizing that I didn't think I was going to get through it. But you know what? Putting one foot in front of the other, crying every day. I'm talking about the tears that go so deep that there's aftershocks. You know, you're done and somebody mentions it, and like crying again and crying again. I needed to experience those feelings. I have gotten my feelings back in the program. And the only way to it, the only way to on the other side of a problem is through it. That means I remember times in my sobriety that I wanted to drink, and I realized I was stuffing my emotions. I went in the bathroom, shed a couple tears, came out and went, oh my gosh, I was going to drink over 5 tears? The tears are so healing to the soul. You know what? Sometimes when I realize I haven't had a cry in a while, I have my go-to movies and go-to TV shows that I watch. And I get into it and I just cry and I experience the pain. I remember when I first got into these rooms, I didn't think I was going to ever stop crying, because I would say my name is Jill and I'm an alcoholic, and I would just cry the whole entire meeting. And then I realized I had a sponsor that said, look, just set an egg timer for 15 minutes. Oh, for those of you who don't know it, you could set your cell phone time. You know, now they have cell phone. Thank God there was no cell phones when I was drinking, for heaven's sake. Lord only knows what I would have Snapchatted, Facebook, tweeted. Can you imagine Bill and Bob going, you know, restraint of tongue, pen, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, all this. Can you imagine all the things that Bill and Bob would have had to put in the big book if they wrote it today, all the things they would have had to include? I'm telling you, there's peace equals power. It is so cool. It is so overrated being right. I'd rather be peaceful than right. You know what? Sometimes the best thing I could do is not say a word and just go say the serenity prayer in my mind. And that serenity prayer, I highly recommend learning the long version of the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, the wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as a pathway to peace, taking this world as he did, as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, to where I could be reasonably happy in this lifetime and extremely happy with him in the next. That is such a powerful prayer. So when you're going through hardship, just go, woo-wee, new level, new devil. I must be getting a promotion coming on here. Something good is going to happen to me today. And that is what I learned to say to myself every day. I teach my students, we're going through the alphabet of, I'm awesome, I'm beautiful, I'm confident, I'm determined, I'm enthusiastic. We're going through the alphabet saying these things out loud. We got to start saying positive things about ourselves, because you see, if we could see ourselves through the eyes of God, the sight would be so breathtaking, because God sees us as so beautiful and so capable and so amazing that we need to see ourselves at that. You see, we may be the only walking example of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous outside of these rooms. You guys all have the people that watch what you do, walk the walk, don't just talk the talk. Give it, show people some kindness, give a smile, give a compliment. There's plenty of things we could do. I'm telling you, as long as the heart's still beating and the body's still breathing, there's always hope for change, and things will get better. Suddenly the cancer can be removed. Suddenly that dream job could come your way. Suddenly you get the relationship you've been praying for the last 20 years. Suddenly your miracle can happen. Okay. Don't give up. You are a miracle. You are blessed. And I want to end with something that I have in my house in a couple places, because it really means a lot to me. And I hope it means a lot to you too. I was regretting the past and fearing the future. And I heard my God say to me, when you're in the past with all its regret and shame, it's difficult. My name is not I was. And when you're in the future with all its anxieties and fears, it's difficult. My God says my name is not I will be. But when you're in this moment, this precious moment, it is not hard, because my God says my name is I am. I want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my story. I hope you got something out of it. But more importantly, I just want to say, may God bless you abundantly in all the ways that you can possibly bless with health, with your health, wealth, and happiness. I love you guys. And once again, thanks for letting me share my story. It's 7:02, so time to end.